Friends, video is too big. If you don't want to watch the full video, then go to the description below the video. There I have mentioned all the chapters and timestamps of the video. Just click on the timestamps, then video will start from where you want to watch. This is Bori Critical Mahabharat book, chapter 90, Mahabharat story. Start from here. Janmejay said, O Brahmana, I have now heard from you the great origins of my ancestors. Friends, please press the red subscribe option and press the bell icon for my latest video updates. And if you want to see our previous videos, then click the channel name or picture below the video, then go to the video or playlist option. I have also heard about the noble kings who were born in my lineage, but I am still not satisfied with this count that I love because it is too brief. Therefore, narrate it to me in greater detail, the divine account from Prajapati Manu onwards. Who will not find pleasure in hearing of such a sacred lineage? There is abundant and established fame in the three worlds about the qualities righteousness, greatness, strength, influence, valor, energy, and perseverance of this man. I am not satisfied with what I have heard of this history, which is like the taste of Amrita. Bhishma said, O king, then listen to the complete and pure history of your lineage as I recite it, exactly as I had heard it from Dapayana, means Vedvyas, from Daksha Aditi, from Aditi Vivasvat, from Vivasvat Manu, from Manu Ila, Ila Pururava, from Pururava Ayas, from Ayas Nahusa, from Nahusha Yayati. Yayati had two wives. Brishaparva's daughter was Sharmishtha and Ushanasha's daughter was Devayani. There is the account that Devayani gave birth to Yadu and Turvashu and Sharmishtha. Brishaparva's daughter gave birth to Dhruyu, Anu and Puru from Yadu and Yadavas. From Yadu the Yadavas, from Puru the Pauravas. Puru's wife was Kaushalya. Through her he had a son named Janmejaya. He performed 3 horse sacrifices and after performing the sacrifice known as Vishwajita, retired to the forest. Yayati married Ananta, the daughter of Madhava. From this was born Prachinvata. He conquered the regions of the east right up to where the sun rises, and thus his name. Prachinvata married Ashmaki and she gave birth to Shamyati. Shamyati married Drishadvat's daughter Varangi and she gave birth to Ahampati. Ahampati married Kritavirya's daughter Bhanumati and she gave birth to Sarvabhaumya. Sarvabhaumya conquered and carried up Sunanda, daughter of Kakya, and she gave birth to Jayatsena. Jayatsena married Shushrava from the Vidarbha region and she gave birth to Arachinta. Arachinta married Maryada also from the Vidarbha region and she gave birth to Mahabhauma. Mahabhauma married Prasenjit's daughter Suyajna and she gave birth to Ayutanyati. He was so named because he performed a sacrifice where 1 ayuta of human sacrifices were made. Ayutanai married Prithusrava's daughter Bhasha and she gave birth to Akrodhana. Akrodhana married Karandu from the Kalinga region and she gave birth to Devatithi. Devatithi married Maryada from the Videha region and she gave birth to Richa. Richa married Sudeba from the Anga region and she gave birth to Riksha. Riksha married Takshaka's daughter Jwala and through her had a son named Matinara. Matinara performed a sacrifice on the banks of the Saraswati for 12 years. When the sacrifice was over, Saraswati herself came to him and chose him as her husband. Through her, he had a son named Tamshu. On this, there is a saying that Saraswati gave birth to a son named Tamshu from Matinara, and through Kalindi, Tamshu gave birth to a son named Ilina. Ilina had five sons through Rathantari. Dushanta was the eldest. Dushanta married Vishwamitra's daughter Shakuntala and she gave birth to Bharata. On this, there was two shlokas. The mother is only a leather bag. The son who is born from the father is the father himself. O Dushanta, maintain your son and do not forsake Shakuntala. O king of men, a son who has sperm rescues one from Yama's abode. You are the father who has planted this embryo. Shakuntala has spoken the truth. Hence, his name was Bharata. Bharata married Sharvasena's daughter Sunanda from the Kashi region. She gave birth to Bhumanyu. Bhumanyu married Dasharatha's daughter Vijaya and she gave birth to Suhatra. Suhatra married Subarna and of the Ishvaku lineage and she gave birth to Hasti. He established this city of Hastinapura, which is why it was named Hastinapura. Hasti married Yashodhara from the Trigartha region and she gave birth to Vikunthana. Vikunthana married Sudeva from the Dashara region and she gave birth to Ajamidha. Ajamidha had 2,400 sons through Kaikeyi. Nagi, Gandhari, Bimala and Riksha each became a king and established a dynasty. Among them, Sambharna was the one who carried the lineage forward. Shambharna married Tapati, Vivaswat's daughter, and she gave birth to Kuru. Kuru married Subhagi from the Dasharha region and she gave birth to Vidura. Vidura married Shanpriya, daughter of Madhava, and she gave birth to Arugavata. Arugavata married Amrita from the Megha region and she gave birth to Parikshit. Parikshit married Bahuda's daughter Shuyasa and she gave birth to Bhimasena. Bhimasena married Sukumari of the Kakya region and she gave birth to Paryashrava. So Bhimsena, this is another Bhimsen. It's not Pandav. Also known as Pratipa. Pratipa married Shivi's daughter Sunanda and through her had a son named Devapi, Shantanu and Balika. Devapi retired to the forest when he was still a child. Shantanu then became a king. There is a saying about this: those who were touched with his hands felt extreme pleasure and become young again. Therefore he was known as Shantanu. Thus he was known as Shantanu. Shantanu married Bhagirathi Ganga and she gave birth to Devbrata, means Bhishma, who later came to be known as Bhishma. To do that which would bring pleasure to his father, Devbrata got him married to Satyavati. She became his mother and she was also known as Gandhakali. Before that, while she was still a virgin, she had a son named Dvaipayana through Parashara. Dvaipayana means Krishna Dvaipayan, Vedvyas. She bore two more sons to Santanu, Vichitravirya and Chitrangada, but before reaching manhood, Chitrangada was killed by a Gandharva and Vichitravirya then became a king. Vichitravirya married two daughters born to the king of Kashi through his wife Kaushalya, Ambika and Ambalika. However, Vichitravirya died childless. Then Satyavati began to worry that Dushanta's lineage would become extinct. She threw off the rishi Dvaipayana and he appeared before her and asked, "What is your command?" She told him, "Your brother Vichitravirya has gone to heaven childless. For this sake, be the father of righteous children." Dvaipayana agreed and was the father to three sons Dhritarashtra, Pandu, and Vidura. Of this, because of a boon granted by Dvaipayana, Dhritarashtra had 100 sons through his wife Gandhari. Four of Dhritarashtra's sons were chief Duryodhana, Dushasana, Vikarna, and Chitrasena. Pandu had two gems among women as his wives Kunti and Mandri. One day Pandu went out for a hunt and saw a rishi in the form of a stag. Uniting with a doe, he shot him with an arrow while he was still mounted on a doe. In a state of lust, but without his desire having been satiated, wounded by the arrow, he told Pandu, "You follow dharma and you know the pleasure that comes from satisfaction of desire, but you have killed me before my desire was satiated. Therefore, you will also be united with the five elements in a similar state. Before your desire is satiated." Pandu paled on hearing this curse and from that time stayed away from uniting with his wives. He told them, "This is the result of my own folly, but I have heard that in the hereafter there are no words for those who are childless." Therefore he asked Kunti to bear children from him, and accordingly Kunti bore children through Dharma, Yudhishthira, through Marut, Bhima, through Shakra, Arjuna. Pandu was pleased and said, "Your co-wife doesn't have children either. Let the right offspring also be feathered on her." Kunti agreed, and Nakul Sahadeva were then feathered on Madri through the Ashwins. One day Pandu saw Madri dressed in her ornament and his desire was stayed, but he died as soon as he touched her. Then Madri escended the funeral pyre with him, requesting Kunti to affectionately near the twins. Later, ascetics took the five Pandavas and Kunti to Hastinapura and introduced them to Bhishma and Vidura. An attempt was made to burn them in the house of Lak, but this failed because of Vidura's counsel. After this, Hidimba was killed and they went to a palace named Ekchakra. In Ekchakra, they killed a Rakshas named Baka and then went to the capital of Panchala. Thereafter, they obtained Draupadi as their wife and returned to their own country in good health. They had skilled sons. Yudhishthira had Pratibindya, Brikodara had Sutsoma, Arjuna had Sutikiti, Nakula had Satanika, and Sadeva had Shutakarmana. In a Swayamvara, Yudhishthira obtained Devika as his wife. She was daughter of Gobatsana of the Shivi lineage, and through her he had a son named Yodhaya. Through a Biryashulka marriage, Bhima obtained as his wife Balandhara, the daughter of the king of Kashi. Through her he had a son named Sarvaga. Arjuna went to Dwaravati and obtained Vasudeva's sister Subhadra as his wife. Through her he had a son named Abhimanyu. Nakula and Karnumati from the Chedi region as his wife, and through her had a son named Niramitra. In a Swayamvara, Sadeva obtained Vijaya, daughter of the king of Madra, as his wife and had a son named Suvatra. Because this, Bhima had a son named Ghatotkaja through the Rakshasa Hidimba. These are the 11 sons of the Pandavas. Abhimanyu married Virata's daughter Uttara. She gave birth to a stillborn child. On the command of Vasudeva, supreme among men, Pritha accepted him in her arms. He said, I will install life into this embryo that is 6 months old. Having revived him, he said he was born in a lineage that was diminished. Therefore, he will be known as Parikshit. Parikshita married Madravati and she gave birth to Janmejaya through Bapushtama. Janmejaya had two sons named Shatanika and Shanku. Shatanika had a son named Ashwamedhadatta through a wife from the Vedha region. Thus, the lineage of Puru and Pandu has been recounted. He who hears about Puru's lineage is freed from all sin. Next chapter 91. Besampayana said, there was once a king named Mahabhisha. He was born in the Ishvaku lineage and was a lord of the earth. He was always truthful and truly valorous. He pleased the Lord of the gods through 1,000 horse sacrifices and 100 Vajpaya sacrifices and thus attained heaven. One day, the gods went to pay homage to Brahma. Many Rajrishis and King Mahabhisha were also present. Ganga, the best of the rivers, also came to pay homage to the grandfather. Her garments, as white as moonlight, were blown away by the wind, and immediately the masses of gods lowered their faces. However, Rajarshi Mahabhisha continued to stare unabashedly at the river. Because of this, Mahabhisha was cursed by the illustrious Brahma. You will be born on earth and then you will again regain these worlds. This the king then threw about all the kings and ascetics on earth and chose the immensely radiant Pratipa as his father. On seeing King Mahabhisha lose his composure, the best of the rivers went away thinking about him. In her mind, along her path, she saw a divine virtues. They were crestfallen and dark with despair at having been dislodged from heaven. On seeing them in that state, the great river asked, O radiant of heaven, why are your forms destroyed? Why are you in despair? The divine Vasus replied, O great river, you have been severely cursed by the great soul Vashishta for a minor transgression. Not seen by us, that supreme of rishis was engaged in his twilight rites, and in our folly we crossed him. In his anger, he cursed us that we would be born in a womb. It is not possible to negate what the Brahman knowing on has said. Therefore become a woman on earth and hear the Vasus as your sons. We cannot enter the womb of an impure woman. Having been thus addressed, Ganga agreed and asked, which supreme man will be your father? The Vasu replied, in the world of man, a son will be born to Pratipa. He will be King Shantanu, devoted to Dharma, and he will be our father. Ganga said, O unblemished gods, I was thinking exactly the same. I will do that which brings pleasure to him and also satisfy your wishes. The Vasus replied, O revered one who dwells in the three worlds, you must hurl your sons into the water as soon as they are born, so that we are quickly freed and don't suffer from a long time. Ganga said, I will do what you wish, but so that my union with him is not completely fruitless, let one son remain with him. The Vasus replied, each one of us will offer 1/8 of our respective energies. From that, a son will be born to you, and will live according to your desires, but he will have no children on earth. Therefore, his valorous sons of yours will remain without a son. Making this agreement with Ganga, the Vasus happily went away to the place where they dwelt. Next chapter 92. Bhishma said King Pratipa was always devoted to the welfare of all beings. He spent many years in meditation on the banks of the Ganga. Then Ganga assumed the form of a woman who was beautiful and had all the qualities. She arose from the waters in this desirable form. The Rajrishi was studying. The divine and intelligent one with a beautiful face come and sat on his right thigh, which was like a shala tree. Pratipa, lord of the earth, asked the intelligent one, O fortunate one, what can I do to bring you pleasure? What is your desire? The lady said, O king, O best of the Kurus, I desire you, O offer myself, accept me and love me in return. Those who are wise always consider evil the act of refusing a woman who is full of desire. Pratipa replied, O beautiful one, out of desire I can never go to another man's wife or to one who is not equal to me in Varna. O fortunate one, know that this is the vow I have taken for the sake of Dharma. The lady said, I am never undesirable, I am never one with whom union is forbidden, I am never malignant, I am a divine lady and supreme in beauty. O king, love me as I wish to love you. Pratipa replied, I must refrain from doing what brings you pleasure. I have taken a vow, and if I break it, Dharma will bring about my destruction. O beautiful lady, you have seated yourself on my right thigh. O timid one, this is the seat earmarked for daughters and daughter in law. The left is the seat for a woman one finds pleasure with. But you have rejected it, O beautiful one, therefore I cannot satisfy desire with you. O fortunate one, I accept you for my son. Be my daughter in law. The left thigh is for the wife, but you have not accepted that. The lady said, O one who is learned in Dharma, let it be as you say. Let me be united with your son. Out of my love for you, I will love the famous Bharata lineage. Your dynasty is the refuge of all the kings on earth. Even if I take 100 years, I will not be able to recount the qualities of this dynasty whose fame and righteousness is supreme. But he must not know my high birth, nor must he ever question what I do. Living with your son in this way, I will make him happy and bring about his welfare because of his sons, his righteous conduct, and his merits. Your son will attain heaven, O king. Having said this, she disappeared. The king waited for his son to be born and for the promise to be fulfilled, O descendant of the Kuru lineage. Meanwhile, Pratipa, Bull among the Kshatriyas, performed austerities with his wife so as to obtain a son. Though they were old, a son was born to them, and this son was Mahabhisha. He was known as Shantanu because he was born when his father had controlled his senses, remembering that the eternal worlds can only be conquered through one's own deeds. Santanu, supreme of the Kuru lineage, devoted himself to sacred conduct. When his son Santanu became a youth, Pratipa told him, O Shantanu, earlier a lady had approached me for your welfare, O son. If that divine and beautiful lady comes to you in secret and desires you so as to obtain offspring, you must not question her about who she is and who she belongs to. O unblemished one, you must not question any of her acts. I tell you that you must love her as she loves you. Having thus commanded his son, and instead him on the throne, King Pratipha departed for the forest. King Shantanu was intelligent and became a famous archer on earth. He loved hunting and spent a lot of time in the forest. Once the best of kings killed many deer and buffaloes wandering alone along the banks of the Ganga. He came to a place frequented by the Siddhas and the Charanas. One day, the king saw there a supreme woman dazzling in her beauty, like the lotus seated Sri herself. Her body was faultless and her teeth were beautiful. She was adorned with divine ornaments. She was alone and she wore sheer garments that were as beautiful as the filaments of a lotus. The king was astounded at the beauty of her form, and the hair on his body stood up in rapture. The Lord of Man gazed at her with his eyes, but was not satisfied. On seeing the radiant king move around, she also felt love and affection from him, and the wanton one wasn't satisfied. The king then addressed her in a gentle voice, O beautiful one, O one with the slender waist, are you from the race of gods, demons, Gandharvas, Apsaras, Yakshas, and Panangas? Or are you human? You seem to be born of gods. Whoever you are, please be my wife. Hearing these soft words from the smiling king, that unblemished one remembered the promise she had made to the Vasus. She spoke to the king, gladdening his heart with her words, O Lord of the earth, I will be your queen and will obey your words, O king, but you must not interfere in my acts, regardless of whether they please or displease you. You must never try to stop me or speak to me harshly. O king, as long as you act in the way I have asked you to, I will be with you, but I will certainly leave you whenever you try to stop me or speak me harshly. The best of the Bharata lineage agreed. At that, the lady was delighted to have obtained the supreme of kings as her husband. Having obtained her, Shantanu was also delighted. He pleasured with her as he desired, and remembering the promise, refrained from asking her anything. The Lord of the earth was extremely pleased with her conduct, beauty, generosity, qualities, and secret art of love. The divine Ganga, who courses the three worlds, assumed a beautiful and radiant human form and lived happily as an obedient wife to Shantanu, that lion among kings. He was as radiant as the king of the gods himself, and his love waxed as his fortune did. She pleased the king with her skilled love making, intelligence, coquetry, and demeanor, and the king loved her as much as she did. The king was so addicted to desire and the qualities of his supreme wife that many years, seasons, and months passed by without him being aware. When the Lord of Man thus united with her, when desire seized them, 8 sons were born by her, each resembling a god or descendant of the Bharata lineage. As soon as each son was born, one after another, she flung them into the waters of the Ganga, saying, This is for your own good. This did not please King Shantanu, but the Lord of the earth did not dare to utter a word for fear of losing her. When the 8th son was born and she seemed to be smiling, the king, who desired a son, miserably told her, Do not kill him. Who are you? Who do you belong to? Why do you kill your sons as a murderer of your son? You are committing a great sin, O evil one. Do not commit sin. Desist. Ganga replied, Since you desire a son, I will not kill this son. You will become the supreme father of a son, but following our agreement, my stay here has come to an end. I am Ganga, the daughter of Janu, and worshipped by large numbers of Maharishis. I have lived with you so far to accomplish the wishes of the gods. These were the eight Vasus, immensely fortunate and immensely energetic gods. As a result of a curse imposed by Vashishta, they had to be born in human form. There was no better father than you on earth, and no human mother in this world who could equal me. Therefore, I assumed human form to become their mother. By becoming the father of the eight Vasus, you have conquered the eternal worlds. My agreement with the divine Vasus was that I should free them from their human birth as soon as each was born. I have thus freed them from the curse imposed by the great soul Apava. Be fortunate, I must leave now. Rear this son. He will be rigid in his vows. My promise to the Vasus that I would live with you in is over. Let this son born from me be known as Gangadat, means Bhishma. Next chapter 93. Santanu said, who was Apava, what evil act committed by the Vasus, that they were all cursed to be born in human wombs? What has this son Gangadatta done that he must now live among men? The Vasus are lords of all the worlds, O Janvi. Why were they born among men? Tell me everything. Besampayana said, having been thus addressed, the divine goddess Janvi Ganga addressed her husband King Santanu, bull among men. Ganga said, O descendant of the Bharata lineage, Varuna once had a son, the sage Vasishtha, later famous as Apava. His holy hermitage was along the side of Meru, the king of the mountains. It was populated with deer and birds and was always covered with flowers. O best of the Bharata lineage, Varuna's son, supreme among those who performed secret deeds, performed austerities in that forest which had a plentiful supply of tasty roots, fruit, and water. Daksha had a proud daughter named Shurubi, O bull among the Bharata lineage. Through Kashyapa, the goddess gave birth to a cow for the welfare of the entire world. This supreme cow was capable of fulfilling every desire. Varuna's righteous son obtained this cow for the sake of performing sacrifices, and the cow lived in that forest populated by sages. Fearlessly she grazed in those secret and lovely woods. O bull among the Bharata lineage, once all the divine Vasus with Prithu at their head come to visit the forest frequented by the gods and the Devrishis. With their wives, they roamed in the forest and made love in its lovely mountains and woods. O you who are as valorous as Vashava himself, a slender waisted wife of one of the Vasus saw the supreme cow, which belonged to the sage Vasishtha and was capable of fulfilling every desire. Roaming in the forest, she was amazed at its conduct, power, and riches, and showed it to Dew, who had eyes like those of a bull. The cow was well fed and yielded plenty of milk. It had a beautiful tail and handsome face. It had all the qualities and was supreme in its conduct, O Lord of King, O descendant of the Puru lineage. So great were its qualities that the Vasu's wife showed it to the Vasu. O you who are like the king of elements, O you who are like Indra in valor, Dew saw the cow with its beauty and qualities, O king. He then told the goddess, O goddess with the dark eyes, O one with the beautiful hips, O one with slender waist, this supreme cow belongs to the Rishi who is Varuna's son. He is the owner of this supreme forest. A person who drinks this cow's tasty milk will live for 10,000 years. with undiminished youth, O supreme among king, when that slender waisted goddess of unblemished form heard these words, she told her husband, whose energy was radiant, I have a friend in this world of man, and she is the daughter of a king. Her name is Jinavati, and she is young and beautiful. She is the daughter of Rajrishi Ushinara, who is truthful and intelligent. This daughter is famous in the world of men because of the wealth of her beauty. O immensely fortunate one, I wish to obtain this cow and its calf for her. O best of the gods, O one who increases good deeds, please bring them quickly, O one who grants pride. On drinking the milk, my friend will be the only one in the world of man to be freed from age and disease. O immensely fortunate one, O unblemished one, please do this for me. There is no other pleasure that would please me more. Hearing the words of the goddess, Dew wished to please her and stole the cow with the help of Prithu and his other brothers. O king, instructed by his lotus eyed wife, Dew did not think about the great ascetic powers of the rishi who owned her. He failed to consider that the stealing of the cow would lead to his downfall. In the evening, Baruna's son returned to the hermitage with the fruit he had collected. He did not see the cow and her calf in the supreme wood. Then the one blessed with the power of austerities looked for her in the forest, but through his searched, the sage could not find her. Through his divine sight, he then found that she had been stolen by the Vasus. His anger arose and he cursed the Vasus because the Vasus have stolen my cow, which yields sweet milk and has a handsome tail. There is no doubt that they will all be born as a man. O bull among the birth lineage, thus did the illustrious Apabha supreme among sages curse the Vasus in his anger. Having cursed them, the illustrious one returned to his austerities, O king. Thus in his wrath did the one blessed with the power of austerities curse the eight Vasus. The rishi was immensely powerful and knew the nature of the Brahmin. As soon as they knew that they had been cursed by the rishi, the gods went to the hermitage of the great souled one. O bull among kings, the Vasus tried to pacify the rishi, O tiger among men, but they failed to obtain the grace of Apava, who was learned in all dharma and was supreme among rishis. The righteous sage said, O Dhara, you and the other Vasus have been cursed, but you will all be freed from your curse within a year. But Dew is the one whose act has led to your being cursed by me. Because of his own deeds, he will have to live in the world of man for a long time. Through uttered in anger, my words cannot amount to a falsehood. However, the great souled one will not have offspring in the world of man. He will be devoted to dharma and will be skilled in the usage of all weapons. He will be engaged in doing that which brings this father pleasure, and he will forsake pleasure with women. He was Bhishma. Dew. Having addressed all the Vasus in this way, the great Rishi went away, and all the Vasus then come to me together. O king, they crave a boon from me, O Ganga. As soon as each one of us is born, you should yourself throw us into the water. O supreme among kings, I agreed and acted accordingly in order to free them from a life in the world of man. A consequence of the curse, O best of kings, O descendant of the Bharata lineage, O king, Dew alone will have to live in this world of man for a long time because of the Rishi's curse. Depanna said, having completed the account, the goddess immediately vanished, taking her son with her. She went away to wherever she wished to go. That son of Shantanu came to be known under two names, Debrata and Gangeya. He surpassed Shantanu in all the qualities. With sorrow in his heart, Shantanu then returned to his own capital. I will now recount for your Shantanu's many qualities and great fortune of this famous king who was from the Bhargava lineage and whose illustrious history is known as the Mahabharata. Next chapter, for 94, Bhishma said, King Shantanu was intelligent and was honored by the gods and the Rajrishis. He was devoted to Dharma and was famous in all the worlds for being righteous and truthful. Shantanu, Bhul among men, always displayed self control, generosity, forgiveness, forbearance, resoluteness, supreme energy, and great nobility. The king had all these qualities and was also skilled in dharma and artha. He was the protector of the Bharata lineage and all righteous people. His neck was like a conch shell, his shoulders were broad, and his strength was like that of a mad elephant. For him, dharma was superior to kama and artha. Obulemu man, on seeing that he was devoted to dharma and supreme in the practice of all forms of dharma, all the kings instated him as the king of kings. With that lord of the Bharata lineage as their protector, all the kings on earth were freed from sorrow, fear, and anxiety and awoke every morning from sweet dreams. When the world was ruled by kings led by Shantanu, all the Varnas followed rules that served the cause of the Brahman. Brahmanas were served by Kshatriyas, Kshatriyas were served by Vaishyas. Devoted to Brahmanas and Kshatriyas, Sudras served the Vaishyas. Shantanu lived in Hastinapura, the beautiful capital of the Kurus. He ruled over the entire earth right up to the boundaries of the ocean. He was devoted to truth and learned in Dharma, an equal of the king of the gods. He attained great fortune through the Dharma of generosity and austerities. He was free of anger and hatred. He was as pleasant as Soma, he was as energetic as the sun, and his speed was like that of Vayu. He was like Yama in anger, and like the earth in his patience. O king, when Shantanu ruled the earth, no animals, boars, and birds suffered pointless death. Brahmana dharma was always followed in Shantanu's kingdom. He treated all beings equally without desire and anger. Sacrifices were performed for the worship of gods, rishis, and the ancestors, but no being was deprived of its life other than in accordance with dharma. The king was like a father to those who were miserable, to those who were without a protector, and to animals during the region of that best of the Kuru lineage. The King of Kings' words were embedded in truth, and the mind was embedded in generosity and dharma. Having pleasured with woman for 36 years, the king retired to the forest. Shantanu's son, the Vasu, who was born as Ganga's son and was now named Devrata, was like him in beauty, conduct, valor, and learning. He was skilled in the usage of all weapons compared to other kings. He was mighty in strength, mighty in power, mighty in valor, and mighty as a charioteer. Once, when he had shot a deer, King Shantanu followed it along the banks of the river Ganga. He saw that the waters of the Bhagirathi had become shallow. On seeing this, Shantanu, bull among men, was concerned and wondered, why does this best of rivers not flow the way it used to do earlier? While trying to determine the reason, the great souled one saw a large youth who was beautiful and handsome of face. He was like a god, Purandara himself. He had divine weapons and a bow. Using sharp arrows, he had stemmed the flow of the river Ganga. On witnessing this wonderful and superhuman feat of checking the Ganga's course of arrows, the king was astounded. Shantanu had seen his son only once at the time of birth. Therefore, despite being wise, he did not have sufficient recollection to recognize his own son. As soon as he saw his father, the youth created delusion through his powers and instantly disappeared. When King Shantanu witnessed this, he suspected the youth to be his own son and addressed Ganga, "Show him to me." Ganga appeared in a supremely beautiful form and showed him the ornamented youth, holding him by the right hand. Though he had known her before, Shantanu failed to recognize her since she was adorned with ornaments and wore a garment that gathered no dust. Ganga said, "O king, O tiger among men, this is the eighth son who you feathered on me. Take him home. He has studied the Vedas and the Vedangas from Vasishtha himself. This valorous one is skilled in the usage of all weapons and supreme archer in battle. He is like the king of the gods himself, or descendant of the Bharata lineage. The gods have revere him, and so do the Asuras. He has all the knowledge of the Vedas and Ushanas possesses this great soul and strong armed son of yours is also well versed in all the knowledge of the sacred text and their branches possessed by Angirasha's son, who is worshipped by the gods and the Asuras. He also has the knowledge about weapons possessed by the powerful and invincible Rishi, who is the son of Jamadagni, and Jamadagni's son was Parshurama, means Rama. O king, your son is a great archer and also has knowledge about Dharma and Artha as practiced by kings. O brave one, I am myself giving you my brave son, take him home. Bhishma said, having been thus addressed by Ganga, Shantanu accepted his son, who was as radiant as the sun, and returned to his capital. When he reached his city, which was like Purandara's city, the descendant of the Puru lineage was happy, and through that all his desires had been fulfilled. He instated his great souled son, who had all the qualities as the heir apparent. Obul among the Bharata lineage, the immensely famous son won through his conduct the affection of everyone in the Puru lineage, his father, and the kingdom. Thus, the Lord of Earth, who was unlimited in valor, enjoyed himself with his son for 4 years. One day, the Lord of the Earth went to a forest that was along the Yamuna river. While he was wandering around, he inhaled an extremely sweet fragrance that came from an unknown direction. Searching for the cause, he saw a lady from a fisherman tribe who was as beautiful as a goddess. On seeing that dark eyed lady, he asked, "O timid one, who are you and whose are you? What are you doing here?" She replied, O great soul one, I belong to the fisherman tribe. Following the dharma prescribed for us, I ply a boat on the instruction of my father, who is the king of the fishermen. Having seen her beauty and sweetness equal to that of goddess, and inhaled her fragrance, King Shantanu desired the lady from the fisherman tribe. He went to her father and asked him to give her to him. The king of the fishermen told the king, From the day she was born, I have known that I will have to give my beautiful daughter to someone. O Lord of men, however, there was a desire in my heart, and let me tell you that now. O unblemished one, if you desire to take her as your wife in accordance with Dharma, you must truthfully make a plague to me. Plague to me, because I know that you are true in your words, O king. If you make a pledge, I will give my daughter to you because I will never be able to find a husband for her who is like you. Shantanu replied, O fisherman, it is only after hearing what you ask for that I can say whether I can or I cannot. If it is something that can be granted, I will do so, but not otherwise. The fisherman replied, O Lord of the earth, the son who will be born from her will be instead king of the earth after you and no one else. O descendant of the birth lineage, through his body burned with the sharp pains of desire, Santanu was unwilling to grant this boon to the fisherman. The lord of the earth returned to Hastinapura, thinking about the daughter of the fisherman and with his heart burdened by sorrow. One day, his son Debrata came to Shantanu when he was thus meditating and thinking sorrowfully, and told his father, Everything is peaceful, all the kings obey you. Why are you when always sorrowful as if in pain, O king, immersed in your own thoughts? You do not utter a word. Having been thus addressed by his son, Santanu replied, Without a doubt, I am always meditating just as you say, O descendant of the birth lineage. You are the only son in this great lineage of ours, O son. I sorrow because of the impermanence of this mortal life. O son of Ganga, if everything happens to you, this lineage of ours will cease to exist. There is no doubt that you are superior to 100 great sons, therefore, without reason, I do not wish to have another wife. I only wish that you are fortunate, fulfill your desire, and have sons so that our lineage survives. However, thus, who are learned in Dharma say that having one son is like having no son at all. Agnihotra, the three Vedas and sacrifices that involve a son of arms are together not worth 1/16 part of having a son. This is true of man, all and all beings, O immensely wise one. On this, I have no doubts. That is what the eternal and supreme three and Purana says. O descendant of the Bharata lineage, you are brave, never forgive, and are always armed. O unblemished one, there is every possibility of your being killed through weapons. If that happens, I worry about how can I possibly find peace. O son, now I have completely told you the reason for my sorrow. Having heard this complete reason, the immensely intelligent Debrata began to think about this. He then went and asked an old adviser who was always concerned about his father's welfare. He asked him the reason for his father's misery, O bull among the Bharata lineage. On being asked by the foremost among the Kurus, he told him truthfully, about the boon that had been asked for the lady. The Debrata took many old Kshatriyas with him and went to see a king of the fishermen on his father's behalf. He himself asked for the daughter. The fisherman received him and paid him homage in accordance with what was prescribed, O descendant of the Bharata lineage. When he was seated in the king's assembly, he said, O bull among men, you are an adequate protector of for Shantanu. You are his son, and he is the best of fathers. How can I say anything against your words, even if the bride's father is Shatakratu himself? He cannot but be painted at having to reject such a honorable and desirable union of wombs. The famous Satyavati was born from the seed of an Arya who is equal in qualities to you. He has often told me about your father's achievements. He has told me that among all the kings, he is most suited to marry Satyavati. In earlier times, I have refused the famous Devrishi Asita when that supreme of rishis came and asked for Satyavati, O bull among the Bharatas. However, as the girl's father, there is sometime I must say there is one strong objection that I can see, O source of your enemies. Whoever is your rival, Gandharva or Ashura, will not live happily if you are angry. O king, this is the only fault with the marriage and no others. O scourge of your enemies, O fortunate one, know that this is all I have to say in the matter of giving and taking. O descendant of the Bharata lineage, having heard this for the sake of his father and in the hearing of kings, Ganga's son uttered the following words in reply: O supreme among truthful ones, listen to the truthful vow I take today. The man has not been born, nor will ever be born, who will dare to utter words like this. I will do what you have asked for. The son who will be born from her will be the king. O bull among the Bharata lineage, at these words the fisherman spoke again, desiring to accomplish the difficult task of obtaining the kingdom. O Lord, you are an adequate protector for the radiant Santanu and also for the lady. Your heart is in Dharma, and you are also Lord of the act of granting, O equable one. However, there is something else that needs to be said and done. Listen to me, O conqueror of enemies. This must be said for the welfare of daughters, O you who are devoted to truth and all dharma. The vow that you have taken in the midst of all these kings for Satyavati's sake is worthy of you, O mighty armed one. I have no doubt that it will never be violated by you, but I do have great doubts about the sons who will be born to you, O king. Knowing what was on his mind, the one who was devoted to truth and all dharma wished to do that which would bring pleasure to his father and made a promise. O king of fishermen, O supreme among kings, listen to these words of mine in front of these lords of the earth. Hear what I have to say for my father's sake. O Lord of men, I have already relinquished my right to the kingdom. I will not destroy the doubt that has arisen about my sons, O fishermen. From today I take the vow of brahmacharya, even if I die without a son. I will attain an eternal world of heaven. When he heard these words, the fisherman's body hair rose up in delight. He told the one who had dharma in his heart that he was prepared to give from the sky, Apsaras, gods, and rishis rained down flowers and said, "He is Bhishma." For his father's sake, he then told the famous one, "O mother, please ascend this chariot and let us go to our own home." Having uttered these words, Bhishma made the beautiful lady ascend the chariot, and arriving in Hastinapura, he told Shantanu all that had happened. Then all the kings praised him for his difficult feat and jointly and individually said, "He is Bhishma." Witnessing the difficult feat accomplished by Bhishma, his father Santanu was pleased and granted him the boon that he would only die when he himself so willed. Next chapter 95. Bhishma said, "O king, after the marriage was over, King Shantanu instated the beautiful lady in his own house. Then Satyavati bore Shantanu a wise and brave son named Chitrangada. He was superior to all men in valor. Then Satyavati again bore the powerful king another son. He was named Vichitravirya, and he became a great archer. O bull among the Bharata lineage, before he could become an adult, the wise king Shantanu succumbed to be to the law of destiny. Bhishma was always obedient to Satyavati. When Shantanu went to heaven, he instated Chitrangada, chastiser of enemies, on the throne. Through his valor, Chitrangada defeated all the kings. He could not find anyone equal to himself among men. When he had defeated all gods, men, and Asuras, the powerful king of the Gandharvas, who bore the same name as him, come to him on the field of Kurukshetra, a great battle took place between these two powerful warriors, the king of the Gandharvas and the king of the Kurus, on the banks of the river Hiranyavati. The battle went on for 3 years. In that great duel, characterized by a shower of weapons, the Gandharva used superior power of delusion to kill the supreme among the Kurus. Having killed Chitrangada, the best of the Kurus, and one who yielded wonderful bows and arrows, the Gandharva went to heaven. O king, when that tiger among men, the one with a lot of energy, was killed, Santanu's son Bhishma performed the funeral rites. Then the mighty armed one instated Vichitravirya as the king of the Kuru kingdom. Though he was still a child and hadn't attained youth, Vichitravirya always listened to Bhishma's word, and as a king ruled the kingdom of his father and grandfather in accordance with dharma. The king paid homage to Santanu's son Bhishma, who was skilled in dharma and the sacred text. In return, Bhishma also protected him. Next chapter 96. Bhishma said, "O unblemished one, with Chitrangada killed when his brother was still a child, Bhishma ruled over the kingdom. He was always obedient to Satyavati. When he saw that his brother had become an adult, Bhishma, that supreme among intelligent ones, thought about marrying Vichitravirya's of. O king, Bhishma heard that the three daughters of the king of Kashi, all equal to Apsaras, would be married through a Swayamvara. With his mother's permission, the best of charioteers wore his armor and with a single chariot set out for the city of Varanasi. There Santanu's son Bhishma saw the three ladies and the prosperous kings who had come from all directions. O king, when the names of all the thousands of kings were being recounted, the Lord Bhishma himself arrived there. O king, raising the ladies onto his chariot, Bhishma, supreme among warriors, addressed the king in a voice that was like thunder. The land have said that daughters may be given to virtuous men who have been invited with ornaments. Depending on one's power, other can give after accepting riches, other after accepting a couple of cows. Some give their daughters after accepting a prize, others take them away by force. Some women are taken involuntarily, others were married with their consent. This is the eighth form of marriage, Swayambara, which learned once remember and kings praise. However, those who know Dharma have said that the bride who is taken away by force is the best. Okay, O ruler of the earth, I am therefore taking these maidens away by force. Use all your strength to try and defeat me, or be defeated instead. O Lord of the earth, I am standing here resolved to do battle, challenging the kings and the king of Kashi in this way. The valorous Kaurava raised the maidens onto his chariot and inviting them to fight, swiftly drove off with the maidens all the king's arrows in great anger, slapping their arms and grinding their teeth. They quickly cast off their ornaments and donned their armor, creating a great uproar. O Janmejaya, the radiant ornaments and armor resembled shooting stars. Their brows were contracted and their faces red with anger. The ornaments and armor dangled as the brave ones dashed towards the chariots the charioteer had brought, yoked with excellent horses, armed with all kinds of weapons. They ascended the chariots and went in pursuit of the Kaurava, who was in a solitary chariot, or descendant of the Bharata lineage. Then the hair-raising battle between the one and the many occurred. The king hurled 10,000 arrows at him at the same time. However, before they could reach Bhishma, sliced all them off. Then all the kings surrounded him from all directions and rained arrows down on him like a mountain being showered with clouds of rain. But he stopped all the showers of arrows with his own and pierced each of the kings with 3 arrows. Such was the charioteer's skill in defending himself in battle as compared to that of other men, that his enemies applauded him, having defeated all of them in battle. The one who was supreme among those who were skilled in arms, or descendant of the Bharata lineage, left with maidens for the land of the Bharatas. Then, in the battle, the Maharatha King Shalva, whose spirit was indomitable, struck Shantanu's son Bhishma from the back. He was like a bull elephant that was the leader of its herd, using its task to attack a rival from the near. When it was mounting a cow elephant in heat, the king told Bhishma, Stay, stay. The mighty armed King Shalva was driven by his anger. Bhishma, tiger among men and destroyer of enemies' armies, was angered at these words, blazing like a fire that was without smoke. He followed the dharma of Kshatriyas, and without any signs of fear, the Maharatha turned his chariot towards Shalva. On seeing him turn, all the other kings wished to witness the duel between Bhishma and Shalva, like two powerful and ragging bulls fighting over a cow in heat. The two turned on each other with great strength. King Shalva, best among men, covered Shantanu's son Bhishma with hundreds and thousands of swift arrows. On seeing that Shalva had first covered Bhishma, the assembled kings were astonished and exclaimed, "Blessed, blessed." All the kings saw his dexterity in battle and delightedly applauded King Shalva. Hearing the shouts of the Kshatriya, Santanu's son Bhishma, the conqueror of hostile cities, was incensed and cried, "Stay, stay." He angrily commanded his charioteer, "Drive up to that king. I will instantly kill him the way the king of birds kill a snake." O Lord of Men, the Kaurava then attached the Varuna weapon to his bow and used it to wound King Shalva's 4 horses. O tiger among men, the Kaurava used his weapon to find off all the King Shalva's weapon and used a single arrow to kill his charioteer, and with another weapon he killed excellent horses for the sake of the maidens. Santanu's son Bhishma defeated that supreme among tigers, among kings, but let him off with his life. O bull among the Bharatas, thereupon Shalva left for his own city. O conqueror of enemy cities, the kings who had come to witness the Swayamvara also departed from their own kingdom. Bhishma, supreme among those who yielded arms, thus won the maidens and left for Hastinapura, where the king of the Kauravas was. O king, within a short time, the valorous one who killed innumerable men in battle but was himself never hurt, passed many forests, rivers, and mountains with trees in them. The great souled son of the one who goes into the ocean took care of the daughters of the king of Kashi like daughters in law. Like daughter in law, younger sisters and daughters, and brought them to the land of Kuru. Bhishma had brought the ones who had all the qualities by force and gave them to his younger brother Vichitravirya. The one who was learned in Dharma accomplished these superhuman deeds in accordance with Dharma and began to make arrangement for his brother Vichitravirya's marriage following the consultation with Satyavati. When Bhishma was prepared for the wedding, the eldest daughter of the king of Kashi, means Amba, one who was devoted to the truth, came and told him, "I have earlier chosen the king of Shabhya as my husband. Earlier he has also accepted me, and this is my father's desire too. At the Swayamvara, I would have chosen Salva as my husband. You know Dharma well. Now, knowing this, decide what the course of Dharma entails." At these words of the maiden spoken in an assembly of Brahmanas, the brave Bhishma began to think about what should be done. After consulting the Brahmanas who were learned in the Vedas, the one who had knowledge about Dharma gave permission to Amba, the eldest daughter of the king of the Kashi, to live. In accordance with the prescribed rites, he then gave the 2 others, Ambika and Ambalika, in marriage to his younger brother Vichitravirya. Vichitravirya had dharma in his soul, but when he had accepted their hands, since he was proud of his beauty and youth, desire took over his soul. They were tall, their heads were covered with blue black hair that was curled, their nails were red and pointed, their breasts and hips were heavy. They felt they had obtained a husband who was their equal in beauty, and the fortunate ones worshipped Vichitravirya. He matched the Ashwins in beauty and was the equal of the gods in his prowess. He was capable of steering the hearts of all women. The Lord of the earth pleasured with his wives for 7 years. Through young, he was then attacked by consumption. his friends consulted physicians to try and find a cure. But like a sitting sun, the Kaurava went to Yama's abode. In accordance with Satyavati's wishes, Bhishma, together with the priests and the chief among the Kurus, performed the funeral rites for King Vichitravirya. So Vichitravirya died. Next chapter 97. Bhishma said Satyavati was miserable and unfortunate and grieved over her son or descendant of the Bharata lineage. With her daughter-in-law, she performed the funeral rites for her son. Then the illustrious one turned her mind to Dharma and the perseverance of the paternal and maternal lineage. The immensely fortunate one told Ganga's son the perpetuation of Shantanu's Dharma, the lineage and fame of the Kuru dynasty, the deeds of progeny, and the offering of oblations to ancestors is now vested in you, just as the attainment of heaven is certain when one performs good deeds, just as a long time is certain when it is based on truth. It is certain that dharma cannot be separated from you. You know dharma and its parts. Dharma is established in you. You are learned in all the sacred texts, the Vedas and the Vedangas, in preserving the custom and virtue of the family, and in deciding what should be done in times of distress. You are like Shukra or Agni-Rasha's son, or supreme among those who hold up dharma. Therefore, I am depending on you. I will ask you to perform an act. When you have heard it, please do it, O bull among men. My glorious son was your brother, and you loved him a lot. He has ascended to heaven through but a child. Your brother's your brother's queens are the fortunate daughters of the king of Kashi, and they possess youth and beauty. O descendant of the Bharata lineage, they yearn for sons, O immensely fortunate one. Therefore, so that the lineage continues, begin offspring on them. At my request, perform this act of dharma. Instate yourself on the throne and rule over the kingdom of the Bharatas. In accordance with Dharma, take a wife and do not immerse your ancestors in hell. The conqueror of enemies was thus addressed by his mother and his friends, but the one who followed Dharma replied, in accordance with Dharma, O mother, what you have said is certainly sanctioned by supreme dharma, but for the sake of the kingdom, you know about the vow I have taken about not having offspring, O Satyavati. You also knew about the price that had to be paid for you and about the occurrence thereafter. I will again repeat the truthful plague that I then took. I can give up the three worlds. I can also renounce the kingdom of the gods or anything that is greater than both of these, but I can never go back on the truth. The earth can give up these fragrances, the water can give up its juices, light can give up its diverse forms, wine can give up its sense of touch, the sun can give up its radiance, the smoke justice flame can give up its heat, the sky can give up its sounds, and moon can give up its cool rays. The slayer of Vritra can give up his valor, the gods of Dharma can give up Dharma, but I can never give up the truth. Having been thus addressed by her son, who was endowed with great energy, the mother Satyavati then told Bhishma, now that you are always established in the truth that and that truth is your strength. If you wish, you can create another three worlds with your own energy. I know that the vow of truth you took was for my sake, but you know the calamity that has now arisen, and you know about dharma at such times. Also remember the duty of your ancestors, O one who is never defeated. Act in a way that dharma is not destroyed and our lineage is not broken. Do what doesn't make our friends grieve. Having been thus repeatedly addressed by his miserable mother, who was grieving for her son in words that represented a deviation from dharma, Bhishma again said, O queen, look at dharma, otherwise you will bring all of us to ruin. The norms of dharma never praise a deviation from the truth of Kshatriyas, O queen, in order to prevent Shantanu's lineage from becoming extinct. I will tell you the eternal dharma of Kshatriyas. Hearing this, after consulting priests and those wise ones who know about the dharma that should be followed in time of calamities, determine what is best for the welfare of the world. Next chapter 98. Bhishma said, Jamadagni's son Rama means Parshurama, was angry when his father was killed, and in his anger, the immensely illustrious one killed the king of the Hayhayas. He sliced off Arjuna's 1000 arms. Then he again took up his vow to conquer the world using his wonderful weapons. The great soul descendant of the Bhargava used his arrows to exterminate Kshatriyas from the world 21 times, not using Vijay vow. Okay, because then Kshatriya women everywhere had offspring through Brahmanas who were self-controlled. The Vedas clearly say that a son so born belonged to the one who accepted the hand. With dharma in their minds, they united with the Brahmanas. The world has thus seen the resurgence of the Kshatriyas. In earlier times, there was a famous and wise rishi named Uttaya. His wife was named Mamata, and he loved her dearly. Uttaya's younger brother was the immensely energetic Vrihaspati, the priest of the gods. He desired Mamata and sought to unite with her. Mamata told her brother-in-law, who was most eloquent in speech, I am pregnant through your elder brother. Therefore, deceased, O illustrious Brihaspati, Uttaya's son is in my womb and has studied the Vedas and the Vedangas there. Your semen is infallible, and therefore this is not possible. Do not desire me today. At these words, the immensely energetic Vrihaspati could not suppress his desire. Through he had achieved self-control, the desiring one unite with her. Through she did not desire him in return. When he split his semen, the embryo inside the womb said, O father, there is no room inside for two of us. I was there. I was here first. You have unnecessarily wasted your semen. At this, the illustrious Rishi Brihaspati was angry and cursed Uttaya's son, who was in the womb. You have spoken at a time that all beings crave for, therefore you will enter a long period of darkness. From this curse was born the Rishi Dirghatama. He was Brihaspati's equal in great deeds and great energy to extend Uttaya's lineage. The famous Rishi had sons like Gautama and others, immensely famous, but Gautama and the other sons were overcome by greed and delusion. They tried him to wood and threw him into the waters of the Ganga. The man is blind and old. Why should we support him? Thinking in this way, the cruel ones returned home. O king, the rishi then floated along the river, blindly passing many kingdoms on the raft. One day, a king named Bali, who was learned in all aspects of Dharma, had come to the water and saw him floating along in the current. O bull among men, the righteous Bali found his strength in truth. He knew who he was and grasped him so that he could obtain sons. He said, O illustrious one, honor me. I have to obtain sons through my wife. Therefore, fathers, sons who are knowledgeable in Dharma and Artha, thus addressed the energetic Rishi. Agreed. The king then sent his wife Sudeshna to him, but knowing that he was old and blind, the queen did not go to him. Instead, she demanded him and sent her ignorant Shudra nurse. The righteous Rishi then fathered 11 sons on the Shudra woman, the first of whom was named Kakshivat. When she saw Kakshivat and all the other sons studying, the glorious king was delighted and told the Rishi, These are mine. No, said the Maharishi, and continued, I have fathered Kakshivat and the others on a Shudra woman. Your queen Sudeshna discovered that I was blind and old. In her folly, she insulted me and sent her Shudra nurse to me. Bali then pacified that supreme of rishis and again sent his wife Sudeshna to him. Dirghatama felt the queen's limbs and told her, You will have a powerful son, will be devoted to the truth. Thus, the Rajrishi Anga was born from Sudeshna. In this time, many Kshatriyas who were great archers were born from Brahmanas. They were supremely learned in Dharma, valorous, and had great strength. O mother, having heard this, you should do as you desire.